So the idea behind the number format, that first you need to create it, but as opposed to using the new operator, for example, when you create a scanner class, you use the new operator. In case of the number format, there is a method, apparently, which contains internally the new statement that passes some parameters to the object and when it's created. And one of the possibilities is to say, I want to format the currency. And the currencies, of course, there could be different currencies. So if you try to keep your code in the on the international scale, then you've got all these possibilities of using it. So there would be UK choice and US choice. So this would be considered a locale that you use, right? Because the number format will be produced according to that locale. So then, once we have the payment, we can construct a double simply by saying big decimal gives us the double value. So that constructs a double value. So in order to go from big decimal, which supposedly is some currency manipulation that you already did, and then you want to format it as currency, first you need to convert it to double by saying now I want to have a double. And then you have to use the format method of your number format object. So again, get currency value, specify which locale you want, gives you the number format object. Not new, but use that particular method. And then you convert it to string, because supposedly when you construct your report, you want the text representation of your data. So this number format gives you yet another step to say you want to pass the double value from whatever you already obtained, and you want to format it, and this is supposed to produce the required result. So let's run it just to see the example of how it works and what it does. So enter a number. Okay, that was for the first part, 55. Okay, so you said no, but look what happens to this 1 million. It gets formatted with the dollar sign in front of it. It gets the thousand separating commas are inserted, and there's also a decimal, couple of decimal points printed. So it's just we need to know what this thing is and how this thing looks like and feels like. So a couple more examples here on the. I really don't want to use each single one of these, but currency, basically, you have to have a double value in order to be able to use double number format, because it wants to have a double to execute the formatting. At the same time, you can say I want a percent instance, and the percent instance also is expecting double in its format method, like majority here. But what happens is that you get the you have to give it a fraction. So fraction simply gets formatted with the percent sign, and it also gets rounded to the whole number, right? So by default, it gets rounded like this. And in addition to this, you can control the maximum and minimum fractional digits. For example, let's go back to the percent example. So let's just say that we have majority would be Republicans versus Democrats here, right? So it's like I don't remember what the vote was yesterday night, but it was something like 120 to whatever 230. Let's say that's our fraction, right? So we produce this fraction, And obviously we need to use to indicate that these are actually double numbers, so that we don't use integer division, but so that would give us a fraction, right? So produce produce a fractional number, so a fraction. So then we say we want to convert it as percent, right? So get percent instance, and we say, all right, the percent here will be, and we'll print it. Okay, we'll print this majority string, which we obtained by using the format method of the number format. But this time, before we said, give me the currency instance, and you saw the outcome of that. Now get percent instance, and we have a fraction which we pass to the format. And so let's quickly run this, right? And again, let me perhaps comment this out so that we don't have to display anything but this little trial here. So if I run this, it basically prints 52%. Okay, that's good. That's a majority. Then let's do what this slide suggests here, that we can control fractional digits. So for example, if I wanted to show some fractional digits, I could use those two. Before, very important, you do it before the format. You say the percent, which is the instance of our number format, right? So number format is a class. The percent is the name of the variable. Again, we use the class and call the static method. Say we want to get this instance, and so percent is a reference variable to the number format object in memory. Then we say we also want some maximum fraction digits to be used in this computation, and then we produce the string version of this. Well, let's run this. So this time, a fraction was shown. Instead of showing 52%, which was the default, with like 0 fractional numbers for the percent case, now we use at least 1. And this there is a maximum and minimum fractional digits. There's like a range that you can specify, and it will be using in each case where appropriate, it will show you the most, but if there's 0, it will be abbreviated to the minimum. So, but most people, actually we can set both, I guess, just to see that it's maximum and minimum. So let's run that again, right? So that just tells us always show 1 digit. If we change that digit to like 6, right? So there's a lot of precision with 6. So run that. You get those 6 digits after after the decimal point. So they're just the flavor of what you can do, because it's important to know what are my options to format my output when I am dealing with digits, like we did. And what else? Methods coded in one statement. Yeah, I will show it here. You can try to shorten this code by sometimes what people do is that I guess I can demonstrate it over here. So if I use number format only in to instantiate it and then run the format, sometimes people say, why even bother creating this variable? It's possible to alternatively, as opposed to doing this, it's possible to simply say, okay, let's get this currency, and it's just going to look a little crazy, but instead of using an object reference, just use this. it's not uncommon, and that's why I just want to mention it, is that you can say, okay, the only place in our program we use number format is on this line, because we want to use its format method. And then in that case, you say, okay, I want the currency instance. I want to use this particular locale. But then, once I'm getting my object from this call, I am instantly calling it and say, format this particular double value for me and give me back a string. And so that may be a possibility. However, I wouldn't recommend doing it with this percent situation, because with the percent situation we actually do use this variable multiple times. So clearly, using number format on multiple lines, it's just pretty much your only choice to actually create a variable and then use it. So just a few of those things. What else? I would also like to go to our next presentation. Again, I will come back to some of these issues with like labeled continuum, labeled break, and some other parts here. But what I'd like to do today is to finally get us to say, how do we avoid situations in which, for example, if I uncomment this switch statement with all of the preliminaries that I had, oh, and I'm back to my integers, and I say, okay, give me an integer. So if I run this program, and if I say enter a number, but I by mistake or intentionally type some garbage, what happens is that the program crashes and produces the exception, input mismatch exception. Okay, so to demonstrate, we'll go to the code which will deal with this situation and try to prevent this from happening. And I will run a demonstration in the next fragment, but let me first save it.